Hi everyone! Ever wondered about interior design and architecture? Why we use certain materials and colors in the built environment? What actually shapes those choices? If you've looked around Nairobi lately and thought, why does everything look the same? Why is everything so gray? Then this episode is for you. Welcome to The Built List, aka TBL, a podcast that explores the design world through architecture and interior design. I'm your host, Stacey Moikali, an interior architect and founder of Lighthouse Designs, an interior design consultancy guided by the cardinal rule of design: form follows function. You can check out some of our work on Instagram at lighthouse underscore designs underscore limited. The link is in the description. In this episode, we're zooming in on Kenyan design habits, especially this new wave of gray and beige spaces, and asking a simple question: why so gray? Yes, I am Kamba. And yes, the first episode has to be about color, or rather, the lack of it. Everywhere you go in Nairobi, now the same palette shows up: gray, beige, black, and white. New apartments, cafes, offices, it's like they all got the same memo. So, what's actually going on here? Is it just good taste? Is it social media? Is it fundis copying each other? Or is there something deeper happening beneath the surface? To answer that, we have to zoom out and look at where design trends start. All of that is to say, design doesn't appear from nowhere. Historically, art movements lead the way, and interior and architecture follow. In the Renaissance, there was a focus on humanism, proportion, and symmetry, which shows up in domes, semicircular arches, and balanced human scale spaces. The Baroque era brought drama, movement, and spectacle. You have gilded surfaces, huge mirrors, twisting columns, and ceilings that look like they opened into heaven. Neoclassicism reacted against that excess, stripping things back to purer geometry, grand columns, and quieter, more muted interiors that still felt powerful. And we fast forward to modernism and movements like Bauhaus and De Stijl said less is more: simple forms, functional layouts, primary colors, and the idea of the building as a total work of art. And then pop art crashed the party with bold colors, playful graphics, and a refusal to take itself too seriously. Contemporary art and deconstructivism gave us fragmented sculptural buildings that felt like habitable art pieces. Whenever art shifts, buildings and interiors shift with it. But there is another influence that's a bit less obvious: music. Music affects how we feel, how we move, and even how we see color. Think of Warhol's era: light, upbeat music, a culture that didn't take itself too seriously. And you see the same playfulness in his art and in the interiors of that time: bright colors, bold patterns, unexpected combinations. Music reflects on climate and seasons. Warmer, sunnier conditions tend to be associated with upbeat, danceable music. Colder, darker seasons lean more melancholic and slow. That emotional tone leaks into the visuals around us, the colors we gravitate towards, the patterns we accept. It also reflects on political and social atmosphere. In times of unrest, music often becomes protest. Think of punk in the 1970s: raw, loud, anti establishment. Visually, that turns into DIY graphics, clashing collages, and a rebellious, we'll make it ourselves aesthetic. Protest music in modern movements, including the Gen Z led movements in Kenya, comes with its own visual language. You've seen posters, memes, digital art, and AI art just taking a rise, and the way people physically occupy and transform spaces. We have so many young people right now occupying spaces in a very different way than we're used to, which is amazing. So we have this triangle, which is art, music, and the built environment, all feeding into each other. Now, let's bring it home. The COVID 19 pandemic shook how we live in our spaces. Suddenly, home had to be everything: office, school, gym, sanctuary. People started pulling nature indoors: plants, green walls, textured finishes, to feel grounded and calm. At the same time, there's been this global craving for escapism. People want spaces that feel like an escape from their reality, softer, smoother, quieter than the chaos outside. In a tropical country like Kenya, instead of leaning into bold tropical colors, we've drifted into grays and beiges that feel like a neutral, safe reset. And here's where it gets deeper. When you live in a country where the government is overtaxing, corruption is normalized, young people are killed or ignored when they protest, and creativity and the arts are consistently underfunded and undervalued, people go into survival mode. Survival mode doesn't leave a lot of room for risky experimental design. It pushes people to copy what looks successful or first world instead. So we borrow styles, materials, and colors that don't really belong to our climate or culture but feel like an upgrade. A tiny grey and beige apartment starts to feel like a portal even when you're in Sakaja's hellscape. You can close the door and pretend just for a moment that you're somewhere in a place that systems work and hard work is rewarded. So when we ask, why so grey? The answer isn't just because it's trendy. It's also the legacy of colonizers and imported aesthetics, a government that has ignored and starved the arts, and a population pushed so hard into survival that grey feels like the safest, most aspirational choice. So, where does that leave us? If our buildings and interiors are a mirror of our politics, our music, our emotions, then the grey wave is telling us something. It's saying we're tired, we're coping, and we're borrowing someone else's dream because our own system feels broken. But it doesn't have to stay that way. In future episodes, we'll start unpacking how we can bring color, context, and courage back into Kenyan spaces at different budgets in real life conditions, not Pinterest fantasy. For now, I'd love you to look around your own home or office and ask, what influenced the way the space looks? Was it Instagram, a fundi, your landlord, your budget, your mood, the news cycle, or something else entirely? Take a photo, share your thoughts, and tag at lighthouse underscore designs underscore limited, or send in your questions and stories. I would love to hear how your space tells your story. Otherwise, in true Kenyan fashion, let's keep this conversation going in the next episode of The Built List. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.